It's Friday, March 29th, 2013, and let's talk about what happened this week over at xdadevelopers.com. There are a lot of people out there in the world using CyanogenMod. At the time of the writing of the portal article, there were almost 4 million people using it, at least 4 million unique installs of it. And over the years, CyanogenMod has grown and changed. It's pulled in new features from other projects and created some new things of their own, like the Apollo Music Manager and the new CM File Manager. But one thing has apparently caught the eyes of the CM developers and maintainers in the past few months, and that is the Pi launcher that not originated in, but became popular in Paranoid Android. Yes, the Pi launcher has been added to the latest CM Nightlies, and it is based on the same one from Paranoid Android. So very cool to see some stuff coming from other third-party projects being merged into such a large project as CyanogenMod. However, they're not using the same one from Paranoid Android from what I've read. It appears that they've gone ahead and rewritten it entirely from the ground up, just to make sure that it doesn't conflict in some way with this existing CyanogenMod codebase. And yes, like I said, the changes have been merged into the Nightlies, but they're not going to be available for every single device in CyanogenMod quite yet. They will be coming over the course of time, I'm sure. Specifically, devices with hardware-enabled buttons will have to enable on-screen controls before you can use the Pi launcher. So devices like the Galaxy Nexus and other ones that have the on-screen keys already, not going to be an issue, but some other ones like I would guess the Galaxy S3, if that's in there somewhere, that one's going to have some change made. More and more, we're seeing hardware buttons being phased out. I mean, a lot of these newer devices are coming with one hardware button and the rest software buttons, or one hardware and then capacitive buttons, but even those are starting to become a little bit more few and far between. One way or another, Pi launcher, very good stuff. We made some videos on it in the past. I know TK did an app shootout between it and another launcher, and very good stuff there. So if this is something you're interested in, take a look at the latest CyanogenMod Nightlies, look at your device's forum to see if those are available and to see if Pi launcher is a part of it. Moving right along, one thing that's very interesting to me as a Linux person is the ability to boot other operating systems on your device of choice, specifically desktops, laptops, things like that. And of course, for quite a few years now, you've been able to take an image of a Linux distribution's live CD, stick it onto a USB drive, and boot from that. However, thanks to XDA forum member Frozen Cow, you can now install his application called DriveDroid onto your Android device of choice, if it's supported, and then enable a USB mass storage mode, which will enable your device to act as a USB mass storage device, contain an ISO file or an image of a Linux-based operating system most likely, but whatever else can boot from it, and then boot whatever device you want from your phone. There are just a couple of requirements. Your device has to be rooted, the kernel has to support USB mass storage mode, and other than that, you should be good to go. Of course, you should probably check out the forum thread just to make sure there aren't any caveats to see if your device is supported. They have some stuff listed here on the Google Play application that mentions the Galaxy Nexus specifically, and some tweaks you have to do to make it work appropriately on that, but definitely a very cool and innovative thing to do with your mobile device so you don't have to carry a USB flash drive around with you to use as a bootable Linux distribution. I should also mention there is a free and a paid version available, but the paid version doesn't appear to mention what's actually different, so I'm going to assume that it's a donate version unless somebody in the comments wants to correct me. Definitely feel free. But still, a very cool, very unique and innovative way to use root on your device. And speaking of Linux, since I do love to talk about Linux, most of the time when I'm talking about Linux, I'm talking about Ubuntu because that is a large segment of the Linux user base at this point. And as such, a lot of things are easier to do on Ubuntu because developers sort of target it first in terms of Linux. However, XDA forum member 3NDYMyon218, nope, not gonna get that one right, has created a tutorial for how to set up ADB and how to compile stuff from source on Fedora KDE. Fedora, if you're not familiar with it, is the Red Hat sort of sponsored, community-based distribution of Linux, again, based upon the Red Hat distribution. And again, while it is Linux and while you are working on a lot of the same stuff, some things on the back end are going to be different, some install commands and some configurations and some locations of files, things like that. So very nice to have another tutorial out there for a different distribution. I'm sure someone will probably put one together for Arch Linux if they haven't already, just because Arch has a very decent sized community and lots of documentation out there. If it's not already on their wiki, probably someone will write one shortly. But still, if you are a Fedora user or if you are interested in becoming one, definitely go take a look at this tutorial if you want to use ADB or compile things for Android from source. And speaking of compiling from source, I tend to be a bit of a heavy Git user now, mainly because of my day job, and I've been using GitHub a lot lately. So it is very nice to see this next story. There is a way now to add a link to your GitHub to your XDA profile. Essentially, you just go into the user CP, you edit your profile, you add the link in there, and then the users can see all of your source commits, all of your public-facing source commits. And of course, it is possible that other repositories will be added in the future. GitHub's just a great place to start because it allows free and open source projects to have free hosting, and a lot of developers on XDA are using it, so it seemed like the good logical choice apparently. So if you have a GitHub and you want to share your work, definitely make sure to put a link to it in your user CP on the forum. As always, there were some other videos on XDA Developer TV this week, 3 of them to be specific. The first one was an app shootout from Steve. Now that he's back on Android, he's doing shootouts between different applications across platform. This one specifically was Facebook for Android, iOS, and Windows Phone. After that one, Kevin put up his next video in his Intro to Tasker series, teaching you how to make your phone work for you instead of you having to do the work for your phone. And finally, TK put together another app review for CWidget. This is a weather application, so if you want to know more about the weather and have a widget to do so, you can definitely take a look at this video and get all the information you want. Although I did see a comment somewhere on there about it using lots and lots of battery life, so make sure to check out his video and the forum thread associated with it if you do decide to go for this. But anyway, that's about all from me for today. If you like this video, make sure to hit that like button down below the video and subscribe to receive our content as soon as it becomes available. As always though, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.